Choose your fighter. Slightly inspired. Fight.
Morning, guys. Actually, good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I got up at like 2, so living my best life. So let's talk about what I did yesterday. I actually did a lot yesterday. I ended up reading 491 pages. 200 and I think 70 something of that is Heartstopper, but I did finish The Shadows by Alex North, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But that means I have 6 of the 7 prompts complete. My plan is to read the Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and then read a graphic novel, so that I've read 7 books. The graphic novel I'm going to read, I haven't picked out just yet, but I'm going to use it for the prompt, read a book that inspired a movie that you've seen. I think I'm going to pick just like an easy kids one and do like something Disney maybe, just so I can complete 7 books. And I also got some more badges yesterday. So last night I did do a Twitter sprint. It was a lot of fun, and I definitely want to do more sprints in the future, but that just means that there are only 4 badges that I need to earn. So it may happen this year, guys. I may fully 100% complete, for the first time ever, the reading rush. So right now, I just finished updating my bullet journal. As you guys saw, I did a face mask while I was doing that, so now my skin looks fantastic. I do need to take out my braids from yesterday, and I need to edit a video. I'm really hoping that I like the Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I think I will, but I'm also just a little concerned because I've only read 1 5-star book this week. Everything else has been 4 and under. Oh, that reminds me, let's talk about The Shadows. So I may bump this up later after thinking on it, but right now my gut is telling me to give this 3 out of 5 stars. I know, you guys, I know. But the problem is, this book was not scary. I was expecting something that was at least extremely creepy, and it wasn't that. It was basically just a thriller, and I feel like my expectations were so high and they weren't met. So my gut is saying give it 3 out of 5. But if I would have known that it was just a thriller, I think I would have really enjoyed it, which makes me maybe want to give it a 4-star. So I am really not sure what to give this book yet. I did already post a review on Goodreads, but I could just go and edit it. I did enjoy it. At times it was a little bit boring, but it was still interesting. The ending, I feel like, didn't fully wrap up and explain everything. Overall, it wasn't fully fleshed out of like, here is what happened. So I don't know. I think I may keep it a 3 out of 5 just because I was so disappointed. I was expecting to not be able to sleep, and instead I had no problem sleeping and was disappointed. That really stinks. And I did go on Goodreads and double check, because this was described to me as a horror, and a lot of people have been tagging it as a horror as well. So I'm not wrong in thinking this. It wasn't always supposed to be just a thriller, but yeah. But alright, guys, I'm gonna go take out my hair, probably play some Lego Harry Potter, and start the Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I hope it's amazing. I really hope it's funny. I'm expecting it to be funny, and I want it to be funny. So hopefully it's funny, but I think I'm gonna look up some Goodreads reviews of it just so I don't have my expectations not met again. So I'm gonna see what other people are saying about it, and hopefully have a fantastic time. Hey guys, so today has been a very slow day for reading. I've only read 150 pages of the book club's guide to slaying vampires, but so far I am really enjoying it. I really like our narrator. I love her accent, and I'm just really interested in all of these characters. I find myself really relating to them, even though they're all older women with children, but I still am able to really relate to them, and I'm having a really good time. I love that there is possibly a real vampire. I think it's so cool, and I love that the book club that these women are in, they go back and forth between reading true crime and novels, and it's just really cool. Their discussions are really interesting, and I think that it's really funny that as much true crime as these women read, our main character is not listening to any of the signs from her books or any of the natural instincts that she has. A lot of the times she gets this instinct and she's like, no, I'm just being silly. I need to be a decent woman. And it's so interesting that women are more concerned about being a decent woman and being what men in society thinks we should be and how we should be acting, that we ignore instincts because we don't want people to think that we're rude. And it's just, it's really cool to see this in a book and done in a way where it's not thrown in your face. It's the reader coming up with these realizations. At least that's what I'm getting from the book, so I hope that that is the point, but I'm really loving it. I think that I will definitely check out Grady Hendrix's other book, which is My Best Friend's Exorcism, because if it's anything like this, I'm really going to enjoy it. So I am happy to say that although I've only read 150 pages so far, I am really loving it. I think there's like a half hour left of the day. It's like 11:30 right now. So I will be reading some more and then definitely reading past midnight. So I will see you guys tomorrow to update you on what I did officially for today. Alright guys, it is the last and final day of the reading rush. There are less than 12 hours left, and I think I can do it. I really think I can do it. So last night, after I talked to you guys, I did not do any more reading before midnight. I ended up editing a vlog and working on some stuff that I needed to do for YouTube and stuff like that. So I did all of that. You may notice in this vlog that I have an updated intro and outro. That's what I was doing last night. I only read 150 pages yesterday of the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Now, because I did stay up very late, 6 a.m., I want to talk about it. I stayed up very late to get to page 259, so I only have this little bit left. It's about 140-ish pages left, and I can definitely get that done today. I'm really enjoying this book. I really like the writing style. I love how, even though it's a very interesting topic and it's about a vampire and a serial killer basically in the small town, it's very soothing and relaxing, and I think that's why I like books that take place in a small town. Like, a lot of it is just getting to know all these women in the book club and all of their gossip. I'm really loving this book so far. I think that it's very interesting that normally a book would have ended like probably 100 pages ago. As soon as our main character realizes he's a vampire, I feel like this book would have ended, but it's still going. We still have another half of a book left. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But what is so full body frustrating are the things that are happening to our main character. So all of her friends don't believe her. She didn't tell anybody he's a vampire. She's telling them that she thinks he's a drug dealer. And she has very good evidence for being a private citizen that she should be believed. But because of like politics and, you know, my husband's job could be on the line and, you know, you're gonna cause a ruckus, because of all of these ridiculous things dealing with money, people are telling her to shut up. And her husband doesn't believe her. He basically locked her up in an insane asylum, and now her kids don't trust her, and it's the things that this woman has gone through. And all because she's a woman. Like, it makes me so angry, and I'm just like yelling at this book the whole time, but it's what you're supposed to be feeling, so I love it. It's, I I just feel for this woman so much, and I want her to just basically abandon her family. But because she's a good mom, even though her kids are treating her like crap because her husband has turned them against her, she's still like, I'm not gonna give up on them. Like, I would have. But I don't have kids, so I guess, I don't know. I just feel like the way this woman's being treated, I would have just packed a bag and left a long time ago. But I'm hoping that at the end of this, she's like so super vindicated and she can just give a middle finger to everyone. It is also interesting because we're also talking about the rich and the poor are treated differently and how black and white people are treated differently. A lot of the victims so far by this vampire have been black kids, and because of that, nothing's being done. And our main character literally saw him doing it, and they're like, no, it was probably the mom or something. Like, it's a very interesting book. I think this would be a great book for a book club. It has so much to discuss. I'm really hoping that the ending is just as amazing and I can give this book 5 out of 5 stars because so far I'm just loving it. But alright, let's talk about my plans for today. So I do need to do some work today. Today is book club and I have to talk about Romanov, even though I didn't like it. I do have 2 things that I need to do today as far as the reading rush. There is a tag video that for some reason I thought I did, but maybe I didn't. I think that there's a new tag video. I don't know if I'm getting confused with the last reading rush, the stay home reading rush, or if there are 2 tag videos because I thought I did it, but then I saw that they posted a new tag video, so I don't know. So I think instead of posting a separate tag video, I think I'm just going to include it in here. I'm probably going to do that once I get done with work, and then I need to share a bookish memory with you guys, so we're going to do that now. When I first started my, what used to be blog, which I still have, I just post all of my videos to it. When I started that, I found out about Book Expo America, which is a giant conference that takes place in New York. You get to meet authors and get free books, and it's a whole lot of crazy fun. So I really wanted to go. My grandma paid for the hotel as a Christmas present every year. And then me and my mom would road trip from Michigan to New York, so 9.5-hour drive for somewhere between 3 and 5 years, just her and I. And then we would go and we would explore the city and go to Book Expo America, and it was absolutely amazing. For one, it was a fantastic bonding experience with me and my mom. My mom and I have always been close, always been best friends, but I feel like we got even closer on more of like a mature adult level of friendship. So it's something that no matter what, I'll always have that memory. I'll always have that feeling of like, this place reminds me of my mom, this place reminds me of books, and it was just so much fun. I mean, we went because I wanted to go, and I had a whole lot of authors that I wanted to meet and a whole lot of books that I wanted to get. You know, I'd have color-coded schedules of where we needed to be at different times. We would split up to make sure that we covered as much ground as possible. You know, my mom stood in lines for hours just to get a book for me, and it was amazing. But even though it was for me, I know my mom had just as much fun as I did. She always loved it. We always talk about how we just want to go back to New York now because things with Book Expo America has changed in terms of reviewers. We definitely want to go back. We want to try out BookCon, but more importantly, we do want to go back to New York one day and just have more vacations there because we freaking love New York so much. But even though we would technically go there, for me, my mom and I had a lot of really cool experiences there. We went to Lady Gaga's parents' restaurant and we saw her parents. My mom has met Marcia Clark, Sandra Brown, Natalie Merchant, Stan Lee. She's gotten a lot out of it just as much as I have, and it was just a really cool experience to share together. Like, we would get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, get ready, walk to the Javits Center, sit in line until it opened up, I think at like 9 or 10, and then be walking that floor all day until 5 p.m. Then we would go and explore the city and walk all those streets until like 10 p.m. and then go to sleep and then do it all over for another 2 days. It was so crazy. Like at the end of it, like our backs hurt, our feet hurt, everything was awful, but it was still amazing, and we still smiled and laughed the whole time, and it's just the absolute best time I've ever had. But alright, I'm gonna go to work now, unfortunately. And then when I check back in with you guys, I'm gonna try to do some listening while I'm setting things up for work and book club. But when I come back, I'll hopefully have some progress for you, and we will do the tag video. If it is different. I'm gonna check it out, but we'll see. Alright guys, I am officially done with work. Thank goodness. I read, I think, like a chapter of The Southern's Guide to Slaying Vampires. But, like I said, after work I was going to do the tag video, so I have it pulled up. These are different questions, so I don't know what I was thinking of. Let me look to see what I posted. Okay, I am thinking of the Stay Home Reading Rush tag, because that's the only other video besides the TBR that I posted. So I must be thinking of that. Let's just dive right in. The first question is, warm up a book that stretches your mind. So I think for me, at least lately, that would be 13 Doorways, Wolves Behind Them All by Laura Ruby. This book really stretched my mind. It deals with a lot of topics, and it does them in like this poetic, lyrical, flowery kind of way, where you really have to think about what the book is telling you or trying to tell you. I think it's a really good book that you can have a discussion around and dissect, so I would say that one. Next is Start Line. What's a book that you started but never finished? I have a couple. I have a shelf on Goodreads dedicated to this exact topic. So let me pick the one that I'm most excited to get back to. I'm going to say Hunting in Bruges by E.J. Stevens. This is a spin-off series of the Ivy Granger psychic detective series that E.J. writes, and I love that series so much. I honestly haven't been keeping up with it. It's been a while, so I think it might be over. I'm honestly not sure. But this is the first book in the spin-off, which follows one of the side characters. I wasn't really liking it as much as the original series, which is why I stopped and decided to go back to it. I'm not sure if I just don't like that character as much as Ivy, or was I just not in the right headspace when I started this book. So I definitely want to go back to it and read it. It's only 278 pages, it's very short, and I really, really like EJ's writing style, so I definitely want to go back to it. Next is Sprint, a book you read really quickly. So the most recent book that I've read in a 24-hour period, within the same day. I started it on June 15th and finished it before midnight on June 15th, and that was The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. I really, really liked that book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I wasn't expecting to like it that much, but I actually really, really enjoyed it. Next is Marathon. What's your favorite long book? Right now it's A Court of Mist and Fury. I loved that book so, so much. The next question is Hurdles. What's a book that had ups and downs? I'm gonna say The Shadows by Alex North. It started really, really good, then it kind of like took a dip, but then I still kind of like liked it. So yeah, I would say that that book definitely had some ups and downs. I think my expectations were just way too high for that book and very different from what the book actually is, so. Next is The Finish Line, a book you were proud to finish. I think that would be Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, and really just the whole Harry Potter series. I read it for the very first time last year in 2019, and I just felt like a very big sense of pride by getting done with it and finally being able to say that I read all the books. The books are so, so different from the movies, and I'm so happy that I read them finally. I will say that Gilderoy Lockhart definitely isn't the best author, and I don't think it's the best series in the world. It has a lot of hidden things within it, and I feel like as a reader you put your own experiences into things when you read them and get different things out of it. So for me, because I am anti-racist, anti-bigotry, and all of those things, I definitely took out a lot of different things from that book than I think others may take out of those books. So that's all I'll say about that. I love Harry Potter. I'll always love Harry Potter, and that's because of childhood memories and things like that, but it's definitely not the best series in the world, and I definitely won't say it is anymore. The next question is Gold Medal, best book you've read during a readathon. So In this past Owls with G from Book Roast, I read for Creature with a Beak on the Cover, Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I freaking loved that book. I'm expecting it to be my #1 book in my top 10 this year, and yeah, it was amazing. And the last question is Participation Ribbon, an underrated book you wish got more attention. For one, I always say that Jennifer L. Armentrout always deserves way more attention than she gets. And I think somebody who is maybe a little bit more under the radar than her would be Thomas Mo. I really, really loved An Apple for Zoe. Definitely check out that book. So that is everything in the tag video. I'm gonna go find something to eat. Probably gonna watch a little bit of TV, and then I'm going to get back to reading. I have like 25 pages left. I'm very excited. I am still planning on hopefully having enough time to read a 7th book. I've now decided it's either going to be a Disney graphic novel or the first book in the 9 Lives of Chloe King. This is by Liz Braswell, but she actually wrote this under the pseudonym Celia Thompson. So I've watched the show, which I think only had like 1 season, a very long time ago. I think it was ABC Family, so before it was even Freeform. This is a bind up of all 3 books in the series. The first one is only like 200 and some pages, and the font is huge. But if I can't finish it in time, then I'll switch to the graphic novel. So that's the plan, Stan. Hey guys, it is currently 11:36, and I've officially finished The Reading Rush. You guys, I did it. I accomplished everything. It is all complete. I have won the Reading Rush for the first time ever. I feel so proud. So let's talk about everything that I read. So the very first prompt was to read a book with a cover that matches the color of your birthstone. For me, that's aquamarine, and I picked The Selection Stories by Kira Cass. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it and definitely think if you're a fan of the series that you should check them out. They were really good, and I can't wait to read the other short stories. Then for read a book that starts with the word the, I read The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I just finished it today and I loved it, you guys. I really, really, really like how it ends, and everything that I was hoping for ended up happening. It was great. There were a lot of parts that I don't think I talked to you guys about at all that were very gruesome and a little bit too much for me. What ends up happening to our vampire was in way too much detail, and if you read this book, ooh, I got a bit nauseous during it. Goodness. But overall, I loved it. I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 stars. I thought this was a fantastic book, and I'm definitely going to check out more from Grady Hendrix. Then for read a book that inspired a movie that you've already seen, I originally picked Crazy Rich Asians for this, but I decided that since I had time, I read a graphic novel. So I read Disney Frozen, which was written by Cecile Castellucci and Paola Antista. This is an expanded retelling of the film Frozen, and for the most part it follows the movie to a T, but it has a little bit more insight of what Elsa and Anna are thinking, and I feel like it gives them a little bit more empathy and ways that you can relate to them, so I did really enjoy it. It was really cute, and I really liked the art style. That, I think I'm going to give it, I'll probably give it 5 out of 5. I don't think I'm going to put it on my Goodreads, but it was just for the reading rush to say that I read 7 books. The next prompt was to read the first book you touched. So for this, I read Romanov by Nadine Brands. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I was not a fan of it. It was a whole lot of telling instead of showing, and I felt like the author relied way too heavily on the reader already knowing the history of Anastasia and the Romanov family. I think if you're going to do a retelling of something that to me seems a little bit obscure, I feel like not a whole lot of people know the history of the family, I think you need to include some backstory, and she didn't at all. Next was to read a book completely outside of your home. So for this, I do have a back patio, and I read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. I loved this book so much, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The next prompt was to read a book in a genre that you want to read more of. So for me, that was horror. I picked up The Shadows by Alex North, and was pretty disappointed by this book. I think I will probably give it 3 stars. It was marketed as being like this creepy, terrifying thing, and it really wasn't. I think this is more of a thriller, so I wouldn't necessarily say it was a horror, but it is categorized as one, so we did it. I will say it was a good book. I would definitely recommend it. I wish that I would have known that it wasn't terrifying going in, because I feel like my expectations were just way too high. And the last prompt was to read a book that takes place on a continent different from the one that you live on. And for that, I read Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. This book I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It is pretty similar to the movie. However, at about the 75% mark, it is pretty different from the movie, and I really, really enjoyed that part. So I think if the ending wasn't so different, this book probably would have got 3 out of 5 stars, just because I already knew everything going into it because of the movie. But the ending was very different and very interesting, so I am considering maybe going on with the rest of the series. As far as badges, I received all of the badges. Holy cow. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I did everything. I feel like this year was a little bit easier than last year, and I really appreciated that. So now I have the wrap-up questions from their Reading Rush journal, and let's just go through these really quick to wrap this all up. How many books did you read? I read 7. How many pages did you read? I ended up reading 2,167 pages. That is a lot. How many challenges did you complete? All of them. What is the tip you have for next year? I would definitely say graphic novels and audiobooks are your best friend. Every chance that I got, I was listening to something. What was the hardest challenge? I think the hardest challenge was probably to read a book that takes place on a continent different from the one that you live, but I really enjoyed it, and I don't think that I would say, like, I wish it wasn't a challenge. I liked having something to kind of have to reach for and really kind of seek out. A lot of my books take place in a different state, but not necessarily a different continent, and that is something that I'm working on changing and reading more diverse books, so I think it was a really cool challenge to include. Where did you read the most? I don't know if I read more in bed or more on my couch. Probably read the most in bed. What was your favorite book you read? I think I'm gonna go ahead and give it to the Southern's Book Club for Slaying Vampires. I really enjoyed it. It was a longer read, different from what I normally read, and I just loved it. I will definitely be recommending it. I had a great time with it, and yeah, I would say that's my favorite. And the last one was, what was your favorite Reading Rush memory? I don't really know if I have any memories from this Reading Rush. I will say I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun making this reading vlog. I also had a really, really great time doing the live read-in as well as the Twitter sprints. I thought that that was a lot of fun. It's something that I have a hard time participating with in other readathons. I usually just don't prioritize it, and if I miss it, I'm just like, oh well. So finding out how much fun I had doing it, I definitely want to seek more out in the future within readathons, and maybe just finding somebody or me doing it just randomly whenever. Guys, that is everything that I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this reading vlog. I had such a good time making it, and I cannot believe that I did it. Oh my god, I really didn't think I was going to be able to do it because I had so many books that were bigger, not necessarily books that you would pick for a week-long readathon. I feel like this is the amount of books I usually read in like a month. Like I usually read like 10 books in a month, and I read 7 in a week. Wow, it's been a while since I've done something like this, so I'm very, very proud of myself. Don't forget, if you guys enjoyed this video, to please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it and you want to see more bookish content from me, please hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified as soon as my videos go live here on YouTube, hit the notification bell. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!